Hello, and today we'll be playing Cleaved. So in the recent videos, we played the route in which we surrendered to skill. So we're done with that, so now we're going to continue with the route in which we ran with Frasier. So this after we got caught and Frasier lost us, so we're going to see how different the meeting with Calder is in the jail cell. I look up at the wolf's paw. With bated breath, I reach out and grasp it. It's just as form a seal around my palm. He effortlessly pulls me to my feet. It's surprising. I felt the strength of many people since walking through that gate, but this wolf in particular has some serious power touch in his form. Hi. Well, hello to you too. I carefully watch his mannerisms as he takes a neutral stance in the doorway. In response, I try to get my thoughts in order. I'm sorry, I'm still a little groggy from everything that's happened. Take a minute to compose yourself. You're gonna need it. I do as he says and take a deep breath, nodding at him to let him know I'm ready to continue. I normally have the council screaming bloody murder about how unbecoming it is for a king to come to such a place. But given the special nature of your case, I couldn't help myself from overseeing this one personally. Is it really that weird to have a stranger visit? What did he say? Wait, did he say king? The one and only. He also had a confident chuckle, the perfect accompaniment to his boast. After firmly resting a paw on his gut, he composes himself and glares me down. But yes, I am King Calder Fimbleson, first and only of my lineage. You have found yourself in my kingdom, Alzheimer. Well, yeah, I kind of figured that last point. Though unintentional, his bravado drops at my presumption, with a blush forming on his face. I watch him try to pick himself back up. I do suppose that's a little obvious now, isn't it? Once again lets out another chuckle, downplay his embarrassment before taking a quick stretch. How about you tell me a little more about yourself then, Scaffer? The sparkle on his face reappeared as he looms in, looking down at me and tilted his head around to see my size. Well, I'm Brian. You said that I'm in your kingdom, but I don't really know where that is. I reckon I'm lost and I don't know. The wolf in his viewing of me presses his muzzle close to my body, giving me a sniff with his wide, damp snout. What are you doing? Oh, I'm trying to get your scent, see if it's familiar with me. I assure you that we haven't met. I'm not sniffing you for that reason, Small. I'm just curious if I would be able to tell where you came from based on it. Although I can't imagine it somewhere too pleasant. You smell like you could do with a long sour. He backs away and continues to circle me, getting a good look at my back. Well, that's an interesting garment, Brian. I feel him grab the bottom of my lab coat and pull it up. A cold draught of wind shoots up my spine, now on full display for the wolf. Hey, I pull away quick as bend on the tips of my toes to look back at him. Oi, Puff, what are you staring at? What do you mean? It's not like there was anything to look at. I let out an involuntary gasp, and the wolf across me blushes as he realizes what he said. No, that's not what I meant. I would never even consider doing that. I'm not even interested in males like that. If anything, you're the pervert for insinuating that. Oh, sure, cause that makes sense. Why I suggest you two get a room. A stranger's voice shouts down from the above floor, interrupting our conversation. Carter spins on his heels and his hackles raised, voice now bitter as he barks out. Silence, Frasier. His face is bright red. I can only imagine mine is matching. given how flushed in the face I feel. He lets out an awkward and contagious laugh, and I reluctantly join him in his hysterics. The wolf sighs before speaking. I do apologize for that, Brian. I really should carry myself better, but it's hard not to contain my excitement. It feels like 10 winters have passed since I've been able to see someone from beyond our lands. Much less someone as interesting looking as you. Oh, I see. Well, I suppose it's alright. I'm just a bit jumpy given everything that's happened. I'm going to assume you're also someone who's never seen a human before, correct? Aye, throughout all my travels I've never seen a creature as naked as you. Ah, someone else who doesn't know what a human is. I sigh and rub the back of my head. I'd say I'm surprised, but at this point, it feels like it should be expected. Hey now, how many people have you actually met so far? Well, just that one fox. The wolf has a frown on his face, and his interest in the conversation seems to dwindle in an instant. Oh yeah? And how's that Vanger fox doing? Well, physically he looked rather well, but I don't know how he really is. I got a little emotional when we talked. He got a little emotional when we talked. Then because he gave you that old Skither speech about how me and the rest of my kind are the root of all evil. Not really, more so how some of the people here aren't exactly treated the best, even if they're the law-abiding kind. I gave the wolf a rather angry stare, unhappy with the negative connotations his words carried. I'm honestly inclined to agree with him based on the threats your damn guards gave me. He leans in, dropping down to my level. I suggest you wait until you can see life here for yourself before you jump to assumptions how pain. He ends his remarks with a snarl, making me shrink back a little bit before he leans away and recomposes himself. Listen, I wasn't there, so I can't comment as much as such, but we have taken into account what eyewitnesses said. I can assure you the guards who tried to arrest you, Janelle and Nud, will be dealt with appropriately. Although, considering you ran away with a known fugitive, I can understand the skepticism. He takes a step back, clearly intent on changing the subject by his unnerved brow. At least you can think of it this way. You've maybe met 2 whole individuals since you got here. That's including me. There's bound to be someone who knows more about your kind. Regardless of our small bickering, I appreciate him trying to comfort me. But then my mind flashes back to my original conversation with Frasier. Another fox had mentioned putting me in contact with a friend of his in the old town. It crosses my mind to ask the wolf if he is at all familiar with him, but given how sour he seems about the fox, it feels better to keep that card close to my chest for the time being. I'm certain we can find someone, that is, if the trial goes well. He says the last part just under his breath. A growing concern comes to mind, but before I can respond, I hear the faint footsteps of another individual ascending the stairs. King Calder. Oh, of course, they would send him. Grand Hersier Seor, to what do I owe this truly great pleasure? Ah! I walks inside as an older wolf walks into the now crowded cell and swiftly delivers a quick smack to the king's rump. I can't help but laugh at the wolf's sudden joke, but I quickly turn my glance to the older one. Now, don't you sass me, boy. You know as well as I do that I don't care for that fancy talk we were not in front of the rest of the council. Okay, my apologies, Uncle. He too laughs at the older wolf's antics despite the blush still on his face. I watch him lean in and whisper to him, do me a favor and try not to embarrass me in front of the human, though. I got a reputation to uphold after all. The old wolf rolls his eyes before looking over to me. So, this is the fabled creature that's caused so much gossip a deliberation amongst our walls, scrawnier than I had anticipated. Despite his comments, I don't shrink from him, and I instead meet his gaze. His status would imply a factor of intimidation. However, the way he's spoken and acted with Calder gives a sentiment that he's not like the others. He shoots me a smile before crossing his arms and looks me up and down. You got an A1. It's Brian. Brian, huh? I like it. Now then, Brian, as my bubbling over nephew explained to you that the council has been waiting for your trial for nearly half an hour. The larger wolf behind him looks to the side, trying to hide his embarrassment from getting sidetracked. He did not. I apologize for him. It's nothing for you to apologize for, boy. You have her. He looks back over at Calder with a scathing and disappointed look. Oh, but Uncle Calder, you are now king. No, you can't afford to be making mistakes like this. His tone increased with the frustration of Calder, trying to justify his actions. I think back to the nature of them and understood his true intentions. The council would be furious. You already know about the distaste for your assertion due to your age. Do you really want to add? He delayed informing me to help me. He turns to me as I cut him off. I woke up. I was panicked and disorientated. Calder took the time to calm me down, explain where I was, and help me recall the events I've done up until now. I would think it would be the sign of a wise ruler who can set aside personal business to share such compassion. Even if that compassion was to ensure I'd be conscious and responsive to whatever you have in store for me. While speaking out of turn may come back to haunt me, I'm reassured by the laws of war. He gives me sympathetic looks as it appears I've given him an opening to speak. Did you really plan this, or is this just your luck shining on you? Uncle, I know you perceive me as nothing but an oaf, but I assure you that I have the best intentions of both the human and the council in mind. We wouldn't be able to give him a fair trial if he wasn't in the right state of mind, which I'm sure you already know would continue to hinder our relations with some of the public. Furthermore, he must be able to give satisfactory answers to the council so we can reach a mutual decision on what is to happen to him. Now, if you're done berating me, he sails past the old wolf and get in front of me. Apologies that we had to cut our conversation so short, Brian, but my uncle is correct, and we must move forward. I'll explain what's going to happen as we walk to the royal hall. After you, uncle. Looking a bit deflated, Sayora steps out of the cell and lets out a sigh. Calder grabs both my hands by the wrist and lifts them up so that they can be found in a set of iron shackles. Believe me, it's more for their safety than my own. I'm confident that if we came to blows, I could handle myself just fine. The wolf shoots me a wink as if to let me know that although he's gotten serious, it hasn't detracted him from his carefree personality. As I step out, I can see that the older wolf has already walked off, getting a head start on the descent. This leaves me and the king in a somewhat state of privacy as we continue to talk. Thanks, for stepping in like that. His head is off to the side, avoiding my gaze as I look to meet him in conversation. Don't miss it. Thanks for giving me that time to get ready for, whatever is gonna come next. I take a few steps over to the stairwell and begin to walk down them, hearing the faint patter of footsteps behind me as Calder catches up. Do you know what a trial is? Do you have those where you come from? Yes, we do. I'm familiar with the premise. Do I get a lawyer? His pauses throw me, and I look back at him. Does this word have another meaning for them? Sorry, I should probably elaborate. Where I come from, a lawyer is someone you can hire to advocate and represent you when you're brought forward in a trial. Like explaining things to you, pleading your case, just someone who tries to help you. Oh, and here I was thinking you were asking for some kind of drink. He laughs, and while I do find it endearing, I don't let it detract from the seriousness of my inquiry. Well, I've never heard of that term until today, but I think there may be some merit to that. I have to do a lot of these now that Father's gone. I mean, now that I've been charged of giving the king's deliberation. My eyes widen as I hear the wolf mention his father. I catch a glimpse of his ears drooping as he says this, but he quickly corrects himself and continues. By having someone who can reassure the person in our house informed and understands the case specifics would save us a lot of time. He gives me a smile, but I can only ponder how genuine it is given his prior statement. That interesting idea aside, no, we do things a little differently. While I may be king, my power is not absolute. While I may be king, my power is not absolute. My people believe in a sovereignty where I am the one that rules over them, though I have a select number of individuals that serve as my royal council. These individuals reside over a particularly important foundation that helps us govern and maintain the standards of our kingdom. They also serve to give me advice and have the ability to oppose me if enough members of the council are in agreement. Oh, I see. So, while you have a monarchy, it's not solely your decision on the actions your kingdom takes. Precisely. We are a proud people, but many kings before me have been wise enough to know that they cannot be an expert in every field. Hence why we have these individuals to help us in the areas we might be lacking in. For instance, while I may be able to tell you how to swing a battle axe or where to get the best pint from, I couldn't tell you fuck all about how to plant and maintain crops. That's why I have Fisk. He's in charge of our agriculture. Due to him being so knowledgeable, he's been part of our council for many years. He's given valiant updates and so much help during hard times. Just looking at this place, I can imagine there must be a lot of mouths to feed. It makes sense to have someone knowledgeable close to the guys in charge, especially one that knows how to feed so many people. Is he also going to be at the trial? Yes, any trial brought before the king will have all council members in attendance. This is necessary for us to reach a successful outcome. That's not to say we don't get the petty argument that comes before us. For instance, I had these two older wolves come to seek king's deliberation. One was upset about the other, claiming that she had not been given her change when she purchased some bread from the other's bakery. Oh God, how did that end up turning out? He lets out a snicker and under his breath. I entertained them for 5 minutes before I realized that it was going nowhere. Seeing Sayor enter the room, I had the old man fulfill his duties of social relations and had him step in to oversee it for me. The poor wolf was stuck there for an hour before they got to the bottom of it. He snickers, turns into a full-blown howl of laughter, and even I couldn't help myself from joining in. Let's give him some parts that we already did in the other route where we surrendered. So I'm just going to go to the parts where there are different dialogues in this route where we run away with Frasier. Getting back to the topic at hand, the fox came to your rescue and you chose to flee with him. Why is that? It wasn't premeditated. When the guards tried to arrest me, they got very aggressive with me, and I feared for my safety. I was simply presented with the option of running away with a friendly face, and I decided to take it. The glance he gave me was awfully similar to when I defended Calder in our previous interaction. I can only imagine he's impressed I've kept myself composed so far. According to our records, that is an accurate depiction of the events, Frasier, where the guards who handled the arrest. Janelle was promptly sent to a lake near. With a black eye, Frasier had managed to throw an object hard enough at the lupine's face, and it took him out of the chase. Newt was sent to guard a different area with more experienced guards, while more experienced guards took over the scene. As with last again, teary-eyed at the rest of the council is left looking unimpressed. I'll be having a word with Skilled myself on why novices were out there, though Lady Astrid, may I remind you of the seriousness of this case, especially considering the guards double as our military force, which is directly under your oath of responsibilities. She takes a deep breath, composing herself as she continues. Meaning this incident would be a reflection of how awful of a job you've been doing. His tone is cold, causing the fiery personality of the councilwoman to boil to the surface in turn. How dare you? You and I are both aware that should anything bad come in the way of the kingdom, I have the troops ready to go to war the second they're needed. But we wouldn't have to be spread thin and constantly training if you were doing a better job with your oath, Sayor. Foreign relations and civilian diplomacy, my ass. That's enough. Miss Pauls clenches the arm of the chair, and the wolves immediately look to their king. If you two want deliberation on a personal matter, we can wait until after this trial is complete. Understood? Yes, my king. Understood. What happened after you escaped the guards? You and the fox didn't appear before anyone until the evening. Where did you go? A brief flashback comes to mind of Frasier, reminding me of when we discussed the sewer systems of his hideouts throughout the city, and how he'd send me to my god if I were to betray him and reveal his secrets. We waited until sight had been broken with the pursuing guards before I was taken down an alleyway. We then climbed up some makeshift scaffolding and used the rooftops to sneak around patrols. Please work. It's sure we're improving rooftop and back alley patrols. I want to limit this activity going forward. I'm relieved as Hein raises his head. Good, we're outside. It doesn't change the fact that we know nothing about this individual. He made a mockery of the guard and by extension us. And just in case anyone wasn't aware, human, would you like to tell us what you did when you finally caught? Specifically, after you and Frasier had been caught in the tunnel leading to the outskirts. I grabbed Frasier from a guard and threw him under the gate, thus ensuring his escape. I suppose we can add assisting a fugitive to his charge list. The council said looks of curiosity, trying to gauge what the others were thinking over the details of my arrest. Is there anything else we're missing, Your Highness? You look as if you're keeping something to yourself. I do have one more thing to say, actually. Brian? My eyes meet the wolves and I brace for whatever he could say. I'm wondering if you'd be so kind as to tell us a little about yourself, your homeland, your interest in professing. Let's skip here. May I go first? I'm surprised to hear C was the one wanting to go first. Her silence had been noticeable after the slight verbal confrontations he had with Sayor. I'm not so human. Your story is too situational. For my liking, I believe there is merit in the guards' suspicion of you being a spy. In your proposal, Lady Astrid, put the poor thing down. My eyes went wide as he slowly, casually suggested my execution. Not only would it save the headache, but it's a message of strength. Whoever sent him will realize that strategies are subpar to our standards, and we can push the narrative of our success over to them. Dear sister, you can't be serious, deadly, but by all means went away with your criticisms and thoughts of fear. Sister, if we progress with your idea, it will become a public spectacle. The Wolven Society will be forced to wonder what the reasons are and query what the potential fallout of this decision would imply for our kingdom. That's not to mention that this display was in front of the civilians. It would be another show of aggression on non-Wolven culture, and it would continue to undo the actions members of the council have done to begin improving relations. Answer: there has not been an execution in these lands since we came to power. If we go back on that, it will only serve to undo everything we worked on. I admire this wolf's attitude. From his appearance, I can't really see him as an argumentative type, but I appreciate his rationality, especially considering it's countering her suggestion to kill me. I'm not backing down from my suggestion, brother. But what do you suppose we do with him? As a healer, I'm against the idea of taking life whenever an alternative is possible. That's why I would like to propose a more permanent residency in the Spire. With a human in prison, our life is spared and we are put into a situation where we can monitor him for a longer period of time. This to assess the possibility of a future for him within this kingdom. Time slings are slow, as both myself and the council wait for the next person to speak. With his rattling jury, I watched George rise up from the chair and watch was. What might you be doing, human? I turn around to see who raised the question to my actions, only be met by an unfamiliar face. I take a second to study this person, only to see they were a very large and portly wolf. Or I don't know if you happened to catch a glimpse of it, but there was a barrel that was rolling across the way. I just stepped in to stop it and return it to its rightful owner. I can't quite put my finger on it, but the more I look at this wolf, the more I think that he stands out among the others I've met so far. I do apologize, but I haven't seen you before. I'm a bit confused as to who you are. I'm Herskal Yod, servant to the king. Oh, right, I know. Now I know. You've been mentioned to me before. As I checked, the council made it clear that you were only to be out with an assigned escort. I've lost a slight bit as he continues to scold me. Thankfully, it's quickly interrupted by the sound of some footsteps coming closer. Before I realized it, both Cal and Gear were on top of me. Where the hell did you go? Supposedly, the half pint ran to help a fellow out with some of his inventory. By the gods, did you happen to see that, or you just... It takes a moment for the wolf to register who's standing before him. Skilled? Yeah, always slow to realize. How are you, your highness? Better for seeing you, brother. How are you on this fine day? I'm glad, personally enjoying the quiet we're having in the city today, using it to catch up on some much needed paperwork too. Well, I'm glad to hear you got a day to yourself to enjoy. What might you three be up to today? Work on behalf of Lord Heim, as it goes. As I'm sure you're aware, he'd agreed to take the human under his wing at one of the factories, but even Brian here isn't exempt from Heim's dress code. Skull puts his hands on his belly and lets out a good chuckle before reflecting on the news. I hope you're like being all dressed up all fancy, human. I'm never going back to wearing those tight shirts. To be fair, I'd much rather be dressed fancy than to have my chest dressed in queen cake. The smile is wiped from his face, and Callie can't help but to erupt and laugh at my roast. You dick, is that seriously the first thing you told him about me? Pretty much. Unbelievable. Come on, Skill, it's just simply for teasing. Listen, Gear is back from a very long mission. It's been an even longer time since the three of us had an opportunity to do something together. How about you take off to get those reports done, and you come find us as soon as it is, and we will go for a pint on me, of course. He finishes it with a wink. Skull fell for it, hook, line, and sinker. Now that is an idea I can get behind. I'll see you soon then, brother. With a nod, the two separate. Over and something touched the back of my cloak just hard enough to shift my balance. I tumbled into an alleyway behind me. Well, ain't this a lovely bit of deja vu? Rather quickly, the stranger forces me against the wall, a paw covering my mouth. You've really got to learn when to keep quiet around me. Or is this just another attempt to have my hand in your mouth? I licked his paw, prompting him to pull it back and shake it. Oh, that's so mature. Believe me, if I wasn't so happy to see you right now, I'd be giving you a ball ache over how immature your flirting is. We both stared at each other, quickly letting out a chuckle as we relaxed for a moment. Well, I'm glad to see you're holding up okay. Where'd you get this fancy new piece? I just picked it up from that shop over there. Sama's, the really fancy boutique. Damn, I knew they were setting you free, but I didn't think they'd be looking after you so well, too. Yeah, some of the council weren't too happy with me going free, but after Heim proposed me working for them, a lot of them fell into agreement with them. Hold it there a moment. They're putting you to what? To work? I told them about my past and got around to showing them a device from my homeland. Heim was the most interested, hence why he wanted me to come work for him, to see if my brain could be of any use to him and all that. Damn. Talk about walking into the wolves den. Wait, what are you doing back in the city so soon? I thought you took off. No, not really. The guards can't really do much when you hit the outer stretches of the forest. Seriously? You ran that far away? Yeah. At that point, they're officially in the wild. Let's just say that people aren't as friendly with them outside the kingdom as they would be inside it. Interesting. That's why a lot of us readable folk set up safe houses out there. I've also got a few set up in the sandy town just outside of the walls. The guards know the residents of that area are the biggest fans of the crown, so they don't tend to cooperate as much. Even then, there's a strong chance that you'll be left alone if they can't find you. So, if that is that where you went back to after the search died down? That's right, I went to that quaint little tavern that my friend Grim works at. You remember, I mentioned him, right? Yeah, he's your smart friend that might know something about my kind, isn't he? Hit it a nail on the head. Glad to see you noggin wasn't too scrambled by them. I didn't want him to feel bummed out, so I tried to downplay the treatment I received before waking up in that cell. Believe me, it sounded worse than it actually was. I see the fox's expression drop. I guess that didn't work as well as I had hoped. Wait, that still doesn't answer my question. What are you doing back? Is it really dangerous for you right now? You know, being one of the most wanted criminals in the whole kingdom? Well, you must know, I actually came back to come get you. Seriously? Well, duh, I promised you I would, didn't I? Indeed, I just wasn't expecting it to be so soon after everything. Well, normally, I wouldn't have come back to get you as soon as I had. But after I found out about the council's decision to give you some form of freedom, I was wondering whether they'd set you up for accommodation. The timing worked out perfectly. I had my ears to the ground and found out that there was a huge riot going on today. My plan was to use that to my advantage while all the guards were distracted. I would see how far the sewers could get me to you, and then we'd sneak out. Speaking of which, you didn't happen to tell them about the sewer system now, did you? My mind flashes back once more to the anonymous threat he gave me long ago. Don't worry, I remembered. I lied to them and said we used the rooftops to evade capture. Good job, good job. He lowers his eyebrows, and I began to worry less for my safety. Yes, this is perfect. They're gonna be preoccupied with this riot for an hour, so we can slip away with no issues. Wait, hold on now. Where are we gonna go? I'm gonna take you to Grimm's, get you all acquainted, see if we can pick his brain for some knowledge of your kind. Maybe we can get that overdue again. But what about the guards, Frasier? If you said there's not a guarantee they won't come for me, I'm fully known to them now. He ponders for a moment and lets out a short exhale. I have a plan in mind, but I need both of you and Grim present for me to go over it with you and see if it'll work. I wouldn't waste your time with a dangerous plan if I didn't think it had any chance of working. Besides, with the trouble they have on their hands right now, we'll have plenty of time to sneak out and get you back before anyone suspects a thing. I know you haven't given me any reason to trust you either. If anything goes wrong, are you sure you'll be able to get me back here? I don't want to risk anyone else getting hurt after the whole shitstorm that was my arrival here. I promise that you take the lead. I'm a little nervous, but if there's even a slight chance someone knows about humans, then I have to try. As I watch the fox prop his head up, I raise my hands and get a grasp of my own cloak. I felt the extending fabric form into a hood and lift it up to obscure my face. Come with me. The faux pine leads me over to another alleyway. He informs me of the specific sewer path we're going to be taking. Supposedly it's one of the only paths that directly connects the outer layer of the walls and the sandy town just outside it. As he pops the grate and allows me to go first, I climb down the ladder. This time I go in with a greater peace of mind and trying to not do a repeat of last time. As soon as my feet hit the solid ground, I wait for the fox to get down here. It's good to see that you're learning, pal. He lands ever so gracefully and continues to lead me through the sewer paths. After coaching me through the correct turns, he jumps until we make it out on the other side. Sweet freedom. You say that again. Sweet freedom. I let out a quiet chuckle while Frasier was the great, and the two of us began to walk after the sandy town. I only had a chance to glimpse it when I first got here, but now I can see it all in full detail. While the majority of the homes and businesses were damaged or neglected in some way, they were still fully usable and maintained by the residents who use them. Are there a lot of people who live outside the walls? Yeah, there are. This town circles the entire kingdom. There's plenty of homes and businesses that cater to people who want to live away from the crown, but would still like a community around them. Damn, this must be quite a busy town instead. Say, Frace, how long has your friend had this tavern? Oh, I couldn't tell you. He and his partner have had that place since before I was born, pal. Wow, I guess it's quite a popular little tourist spot. I may be a little biased here, but I say that it's one of the best taverns in the kingdom. It's a bonus that the place is really friendly to strangers. He shoots me a wink at that last point as we continue to walk the streets, taking turn after turn until we finally reach a well-kept cottage-style building. It's situated in front of an expensive tree line and immediately stands out from the other buildings that decorate the street. The warm light in the interior of the building acts as a warm welcome as opposed to an attempt to stand out and show off. The concierge, get ready. See? Oh, the tavern. He looks over at me and smiles as we get closer to the building and can notably hear the sound of music getting louder and louder with each passing step. Frasier can't help pick up the pace, and once the fox was with a sideband quickly tries to match the speed. As we make our way through the door, Frasier shoves it open with a hard push. I'm home, he shouts sarcastically as we step inside of the tavern. There's a few cheers and some hellos from some of the patrons as we see the fox strut in. Okay, we gotta see the horse now. Honey, come quick, this is him. The horse puts down the glass he was cleaning and makes his way over to us, his eyes spaced a little wider. Really? No jokes here, Frasier. Is this really him? Grim. Girhern. Meet the human Brian. Oh gosh, where are my manners, Brian? I'm Grim Erzaler, and this handsome stallion next to me is my husband, Girhern. You could just call me Guy. That's a lot simpler. Grim turns and gives him a bit of a flabbergasted look to his partner. What? I was never the fancy type, and you know that the second you met me. Hon, we are literally meeting the person who saved our son from being arrested by prison guards. The guards only know what they would have done to him if they caught him. I think you could at least give the human a proper introduction now. Huh? I'm sorry, would you mind repeating that? Only wanted my partner to introduce himself. No, the bit just before that. Oh, about Frey? Okay, Grim Guy. Is there any chance you can go fix me and Brian a pint of honey med? We have some business to discuss, so we're gonna get comfy. He shoots daggers at the goat, who blushes in embarrassment. Of course, come on, honey. He grabs the horse by the arms and yanks him away. Frasier does the same to me, and takes us to a table in the corner of the bar, far out of earshot of the other patrons. So, I have so many questions, I can't help but blurt it out unintentionally, cutting him off. I don't like telling people about them because it was putting them in danger, so any questions about my dads that relate to me, I ain't answering. He gives me a stern look, and I take this as my sign to not push for more information. Okay, that's fair. If it relates to you, feel free to not answer. But do you think I can ask you about how those two came about and set up shop here? Well, it's a little personal, but oh, the days of my youth. Art's Frasier Travis, a surprisingly stealthy goat, is able to sneak up on us and pull up a chair. I'd be more than happy to tell you. The Vulpine pulls her face, knowing at this point there's no way he can stop the old goat from going off on a rant. And not originally from the lands of Caledonia, actually. I hail from a land across the sea. I came here quite a few years ago after King Venter had gone on an expedition to make contact with some of the villages along the kingdom's coastline. Back home, I learned cartography from some of the finest cartographers this side of the continent. It was actually the king who had offered me a job to work alongside the royal family as a Wolven clan's cartographer. Oh wow, have you traveled a lot over the years? Oh, me and Girhern have gone all over. He was a traveler when we first met, you know? He got a job assisting with deliveries from businesses in the city to a certain resident in the castle. Oh really? Don't suppose you got any tips for working with them, do you? Stress beforehand. Make sure you're on time, especially if you're working for Heim. Guy shouts over to us from the corner of the bar as he pulls another draft. He carries 2 mugs over, sets one down in front of me and then the other in front of Frasier. He goes over to his husband and gives him a kiss on the forehead. I'll hold the floor down. You enjoy the company. Try not to bore them too much, though. Grim can only laugh at his partner's statement before turning back to our conversation. He went on to tell us that in his youth he worked alongside the council. He created maps and guides that helped set up trade lines and gain a navigational sense of different villages and cities that neighbor the kingdom. Grim was seen as a valuable member to society for the simple reason that they were able to expand and improve the condition of the kingdom. In the time I spent working with the council, I'd had numerous instances where I bumped into Gilherm. We formed a close bond and were inseparable. We'd have lunch together, talk about the places we traveled to, and eventually we'd fallen for each other. Though despite my love for my job, I could only do it for so long as my body was able to maintain itself. Unfortunately, while working for the council, I injured my back pretty badly. Me trying to push the limits of my older age did not go too well. He lets out a slight chuckle before patting his belly. It's also why I don't have my slim physique anymore. Frasier can't help but roll his eyes a tad as he sees the goat getting lost in the details. But from years of work, I saved up quite the pretty penny. Thanks to my early retirement due to my new limitations, I tried to think of what I wanted to do since I was essentially a free man. And that's when Girhern suggested that we open up our own little business. In our years of traveling, we always stayed at taverns and inns and loved the feeling the atmosphere and community provided us. So, when we began to look for a big enough building to accommodate a dream and found this humble abode in the old town, we took it right away. We've never looked back since. Business has been good, if a little quiet with the recent events, but we never have to worry about trouble thanks to our lovely boy over here. To hide his blush, Frasier grabs his stein and takes a large swig from his drink. And given that the guards don't really bother us, we can still keep our doors open to visitors like you, for example. I can't help but smile at his welcoming tone. I now take my turn to try some of the mid. Oh wow, this is good. I go back and take a second swig, feeling it go down smoothly. Well, I'm very glad that you're enjoying our brew. It's a passing project, guys. But that's enough about us. Wine, I would love to hear your story if you're happy to share. Well, that's actually why we're here. Oh, Wine here is a human. So far, everyone he's met hasn't been able to identify his kind or where he came from. We're wondering if we can pick your brains for a bit. If you know anything about it, then maybe I can even go as far as to help him get home. I see, human, you said. He gets up from the table and walks away, pacing back and forth, trying to think of the right words. I've never actually seen one in person, but the word does sound familiar on some strange level. I've traveled to many lands, all with such rich history and folklore. I'm certain that I must have found something somewhere on it. I've documented almost everything I've learned in various books and journals. Let's get these points. Brian, you saved my son. I will never forget that. You can rest assured that I'm going to help you with this. Now, I'm going to need some time to go through my books to see if I can find anything that can help you. In the meantime, Brian, keep up the good behavior. See just how many freedoms you can get right inside the castle. If they give you free reign to roam the castle facilities, you'll find a library there. I know for a good fact that some of my books are still there. If you can find any with my name, please don't hesitate to grab them and go through them. We've got a great debt to repay you, but for now, how about another round? I smile at the offer and certainly don't refuse it. The second the stein is brought over to me, I take a large sip and continue enjoying the company. Now being reinvigorated with a airtight plan. As we sit and talk, Girhan finishes with his customers and brings a round over for himself and his partner. The doors open once again and I see a hooded fellow step inside, walking over to another side of the bar. Bear with me a second. The fox finishes his drink and seemingly follows the stranger over to a different table. You two are lovely. Why, thank you, lad. We're a little unorthodox, but I couldn't ask for a better family. How did that come about, if you don't mind me asking? You know, you two and Frasier and all. We'll let Frasier tell you the specifics in his own time. It's a very closely guarded secret that he doesn't just tell anybody. But what I can tell you is that us being his dad wasn't always official. He used to be this cute little street urchin. We didn't know much about him at first, but we noticed he was a lot scrawnier than some of the other kids around his age. Every so often, he'd pass by our tavern snooping on what the guests were eating. We figured he wasn't getting enough to eat, so we started to make extra for him and invited him in for a free meal. But I'll never forget the day we found him. The poor boy was roughing it most nights, and after that, we took him in. We made it very clear that he was free to leave whenever he wanted. If no one else would help him, we made sure that he knew that we'd always be in his corner. Before we knew it, we were taking care of him. like he was one of our own. I still can't forget about the first time he called you Dad. He leans in during this part. I'm already anticipating some humor to come from the horse. It's Lover's Day. A lot of our regulars know Frasier by this point, as he helps out with the paperwork for the South order list and comes united. The lad's great with numbers, so he sat at the bar in his own little word pen and pot. Gwen serving this one other a pint, but halfway through it stops and we realize we've run out of it. And while Grim is doing his best to salvage the exchange, he turns to Frasier and asks Frasier, can you add berry cider to the drinks list, please? That boy's the sweetest voice you've ever heard. Go sure thing, Dad. The two of them can't help but chuckle. They explain to me that the young fox desperately tried to correct himself, much to the many ohs and ahs of their patrons. Honestly, you think he's red now, swear that Satan Crimson is burned into my eyes. As Gwen wipes a tear from his eye, the fox comes back over, puzzled as to what we were talking about. Oh, nothing. Your dads are just telling me some very interesting childhood stories about you. I see him a wink, and his face immediately drops. Okay, well, it was lovely to see you both again. We need to make a move. Oh, already? Yeah, I was speaking to one of my contacts just then. They've nearly got the wire under control. If they do that before you're back, we're screwed. So come on, let's go. Not wanting to waste time, I turned to his parents and thanked them for their hospitality and efforts to help me. And quickly stand with the fox and we rush out the door. We lift our hoods once again to blend in. We returned through the same tunnel, and after a bit of sneaking, were able to make it into the alleyway where he initially found me. Connor will probably be back here before you know it, so I probably should take off. Yeah, you should. You probably should. Wouldn't want to risk you getting caught. You remember what I said about my dads, right? Yeah, I do, and it goes without saying that I will honor that secret and take it to the grave with me. He looks at me, contemplating his next move for a second before deciding to quickly pull me in for a hug. Thanks. He lets me go and gives himself a quick stretch. Maybe I'll tell you about it sometime, but let's focus on the task at hand for now. Take care of yourself, Brian. As Frasier bids me farewell and runs away, I leave the alleyway and walk down a little to Somers Taylor. I look around and see that the coast is clear, so I take that moment to stand at the front of the south, waiting for the time to pass. It's not long before I hear a series of heavy footsteps approaching me. Brian! I turn in the direction of the voice and see Calder dash over with gear not too far behind him. There you are. I'm sorry if I gave you both a scare. Damn right. We came back here a little while ago, and imagine I was surprised when we questioned Summer and found out you never came back. You want that different there. So I'm just gonna skip ahead. Okay, so we covered the scenes where after we get caught, like if you won with Frasier and then they catch you and imprison you, those are the different dialogue that you get. I didn't play everything because I'd say roughly half the dialogue is the same, so I only played the other half of the dialogue that was different. But the dialogue is definitely different in the jail scene, where Calder is a little bit more I mean, he's a little bit more hostile. Well, not hostile, but he certainly is not quite as friendly to Brian, because he kind of insults him a little bit, and he's clear he wasn't happy that he ran. And we played a few parts of the trial where they mentioned about him running away and why he ran, and we also got to see the part with Joe. In the other route where we decided to surrender, we catch up with him again. He was very happy to see us again. But in this part here, in this route here where we ran, we never got to, meet him because we were so busy running away from him. So in that scene after the trial where we see Skell, he introduces himself to us, and he didn't seem too happy about Ryan, and we also got to see Frasier, and there's definitely a dialogue change there where instead of him introducing himself last time, in this version here we meet him again. In this version here, we actually get to see a sprite of the horse that his adoptive dad is in love with. I assume they're married, but they're a couple, and they both travel the world together. Well, not together, but they both travel the world, and they met, and they both share the same fascination for the world and cartography and different cultures and stuff like that, and socialization, and they both fell in love. So this village or area that the tavern is in, where Fred goes to, Frasier, where Frasier goes to, it doesn't really have guards from the kingdom going there, because people there in the forest, they're not very friendly towards the guard. They're more hostile and don't welcome the guards, so they don't go to that area where the tavern is at that much. And this part just shows how much tension there is in the kingdom between wolves and non-wolves. Earlier, Calder got upset with Brian when he told him about what Frasier told him about the injustices in his kingdom, and he just got mad at Brian and told him that he should just live here and experience the kingdom, and wait until he gets to see the kingdom for himself before he jumps to conclusions. And I kind of agree with him. He hasn't gotten to see the kingdom just yet, but if somebody like Frasier says that there's injustice in the kingdom, and you actually get to see, if somebody period tells you that there's injustice in the kingdom, then I don't know what I'm saying, but anyway, I do kind of agree with Calder there that he should see the kingdom first before he makes conclusions. But after that scene where Frasier takes us to the tavern and talks about the politics and the current state of the kingdom, it's certainly fair to say that there's tension between wolves and non-wolves, and that Calder either doesn't notice the injustices himself, or probably does but just tries to shrug it off and just try to ignore it and think that the kingdom is in a harmonious state, but it's not. But there's something about, I don't know, this Calder, he seems to dismiss Frasier in his complaints about the kingdom. This kind of reminds me of Adastra, where Marco talks to Amicus about what Alexios tells him about his empire and the pets and the slavery, and Marco tells Amicus about it, and he practically dismisses it or makes it, or he tries to sugarcoat it or make light of the situation. I think that might be what Calder is doing. But if that's the case, that doesn't really fare very well for Calder in the kingdom itself. I mean, yes, he's been nice, just like Amicus has been nice, but there's something about him that, he just doesn't seem to think at all that there's anything severely wrong with the kingdom and the way it treats the citizens. So we have to see what else happens as more builds come out. So that's everything that we covered for Cleaved in these 3 videos. We got to see the part of the update after we surrender, and then we got to see the part after we get caught for running. So thank y'all very much for watching. Goodbye.